from this agenda.
Great. Okay.
All
So
right.
we need you, but you don't need us.
Right.
Well, have a great meeting.
All right. Thanks, Natalie.
All right. Thank you all.
You bet. All right. See you later. I wanted to, all right. I don't see Kathy. Michelle. Oh, hey, Kathy. All right. On the resolutions that we need, I guess just one resolution to add, the finance resolution. Do we need to vote to add it?
Yes, you probably should.
Okay. All right. It looks like we're all here. So, are you ready to start filming, Kathy?
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'd like to welcome to the September 14th meeting of the Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee, which is going to be a short one because then we're going to just kind of change screens a little bit and have an expanded budget committee. So let us try to be crisp today. In fact, Kathy needs us to turn off this meeting at 4 or by 4. So we do have one change to the two changes to the agenda. The first we just already talked about before we started here was to remove Resolution E, transfer of position from Youth Services Department to the Workforce Development Board. That's ID 9486. Kathy, that doesn't need a vote, right?
No, not to withdraw.
Okay. That is going to HHS. It doesn't need budget. It's a budget adjustment and doesn't need doesn't need budget, capital, and personnel approval. The other change to the agenda is addition of a resolution that Rick Snyder emailed us today. I'm going to look for it. Okay, it's called a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $1.4 million serial bonds and notes of the County of Tompkins, New York, to pay a portion of the cost of various capital improvement projects at various county facilities. So can I get a motion to put that on the agenda? By Deborah, seconded by Dave. I'll go around the screen here and ask for your votes. So Mike Lane?
Yes.
Shauna Black? Shauna? Can you unmute, Shauna?
Yeah.
Okay, Dave McKenna?
Yes.
Deborah Dawson?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's on the, we'll do that under the finance report.
Shauna waving at you.
What?
Shauna was waving at you.
Okay. Is there, are there any other changes to the agenda? Thank you. Kathy, is there any comment from the public? I didn't receive anything.
No, there's nothing received.
Okay, thank you very much. County Administrator report. Hello, Jason.
Hi, Martha. Good to see you again.
You've been twiddling your thumbs lately.
Yeah, we had a rough night last night, but we were able to figure out the software issue that at around, I don't know, 10 o'clock last night that hopefully turned things around. So the budget, Kevin is working diligently now to have the budget book and probably posted on the internet by the end of the day today. You all have, we sent you pretty much the budget message and the PowerPoint that I'll be going through today. And then the 3 budgets that I'll be going over: county administration, finance, and human resources. And then I sent an email out after speaking with you, Martha, about the possibility of going to a closed session tonight to talk about a real estate matter. Outside of that, it's been all budget for the past 2 weeks, trying to put things together. I think, as you probably have seen, it's I think a project we're proud of putting together considering the circumstances. We have a just under a 5%, we're proposing just under a 5% levy increase. And while still eliminating 47 positions that are funded this year, we're able to do so without any layoffs, which I think we're proud of. I did meet with the impacted employees today over Zoom, shared with them the process that led to this decision or this proposal, and then the process the legislature will go through as you look and review the proposed budget. And then also that answer any questions they may have about being placed into a new position. And then really starting, I think, tomorrow and later this week, Lisa and Laura Granger from Human Resources will be reaching out to those individual employees, talking about the opportunity that they have and if they so choose to take it. And then hopefully talking about transition into a new role for them between now and the end of the year, depending on what decisions are made and circumstances. So while I think an unfortunate situation and circumstance that we had to deal with, I think it's a positive outcome from a personnel perspective in the workforce. Aside from that, we'll talk more tonight, but the capital plan for the most part was mostly intact in the proposed budget, with some shifting of different uses of funds to pay for it, and maybe scaling back or extending some timeframes on a few projects, but we'll get into that next Monday on the 21st. Other than that, we continue to manage on two fronts, both the unknowns of our financial situation as well as the COVID-19 issue itself. So that's all I think I have for a quick update.
Thanks very much, Jason. Any questions for Jason? Kathy, have you got me on the host in case we do get questions?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, and Jason and I did a media briefing just this past hour. Some good questions and some good participation. So thanks to Dominic for pulling that together and getting some reporters. Yes, there are reporters in this community still. So getting them to come to that briefing. All right, if that's it under administration.
Yeah,
Thank you, John.
nothing else. Yep.
All right, thanks. Director of Finance, Rick Snyder, welcome.
Good afternoon. All I have is the added resolution. This was one of 3 bond resolutions that we prepared that the legislature will be approving later in October, preferably at their second meeting in October. The 3 resolutions, 2 of them made the agenda. This last one did not. Just got the last minute materials at the end of last week. Are what we call your standard yearly or annual or biannual resolutions. The first 2 are resolution C and D later on in the agenda for bridges and roads. We do about that same amount every single year. This one that we've added is the facilities restoration resolution, which we do every year or every other year. That's part of the capital program, 5-year capital program. And we've added that to this particular meeting. We wouldn't have to schedule another special meeting. And because of the heavy schedule with the extended budget committee meetings, we would take care of this early enough on so it didn't get lost in the sauce. So we have all 3 of these bond resolutions that are your standard bond resolutions or annual bond resolutions that you'll be voting on today in this meeting, and also at the facilities and infrastructure meeting on Thursday, the 17th. That's all I have for today.
All right, thank you, Rick. I thought I saw a special facilities meeting tomorrow. Is that not for this?
No, that's for a highway road project resolution.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, well, let us go to, why don't we go to the one that we have added? So that is 1.4 million. Can I get a motion to put it on the floor? Moved by Deborah, seconded by Dave. Discussion. So facilities hasn't discussed these projects specifically yet at all.
Pardon me?
I'm gonna ask Arel to jump in here too.
Sure.
Facilities has not yet talked about them.
We have not talked about these at any committee meetings this year, no.
Okay, they are part of the long-term capital program though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Arel?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So I can go over them briefly what they are. They're also listed in the resolution if you like.
Or yeah, very, very briefly, just give us the headline so the public knows what we're talking about.
Okay, so at the Human Services Building, we have 2 projects. There are 2 elevators, so we're modernizing those elevators. We're also resurfacing the parking lot there. Then at the main courthouse, we're doing also elevator modernization. At the old jail as well, an elevator modernization project. Mental health, 2 elevator modernization projects. As you can see, we're doing a lot of elevators, a lot of upgrades for safety, newer safety modifications, and also ADA access and just modernization of the elevators themselves at those 4 buildings. Then at the Public Works facility, we're doing roof replacement at the vehicle garage, which is the last section of roofing that would need to be replaced. That roof is 33 years old. And then also resurfacing the visitor parking lot, which is the smaller parking lot at the front of the building. And then the last project is at the public library, and that's refinishing the exterior insulation finish system. It's called IFAS, or Drive It, which is around the front of the building, the barrel, and also there's portions around the perimeter of the building. Finished.
Thanks very much, Arel. Any questions on the projects themselves? Mike Lane.
Arel, I just wondered, is the elevator project at the mental health building, is that both elevators? I know there was quite a few years between them.
Yes, they're the same technology, and we've actually had two major issues with the elevators over the last 5 years where the drives that operate both elevators have failed. They're no longer manufactured, so we've had to send them out of state to have them refurbished at a cost of almost $20,000 each time. So we're looking at just upgrading the drives on those elevators, as well as control safety features, and also making ADA up.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
everybody could hear that? Okay. All right, thanks very much. I'm sorry, what, Mike?
Hear the dog.
You can hear my dog? Oh,
That was my
I'm
stomach.
sorry. We have somebody doing some work here, and she's not happy about it. She wants to play with him. Sorry, folks. The door is closed as best I can do. All right, we're ready to vote on this resolution. Deborah Dawson,
Yes.
Shauna Black. Shauna? All right, Mike Lane,
Yes.
Dave McKenna. I see your face. You didn't unmute. That's a yes from Dave. I'm a yes. Shauna?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you. That's unanimous. All right. Why don't we go to
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Shauna. Okay, so that's unanimous. All right. Let us go to resolution C. So C and D are the only ones that are yours, Rick, right? You're muted now, Rick.
Yes, C and D are also bond resolutions. Those are with Jeff Smith and the Highway Department, though.
Okay.
They're
All right.
also going to facilities also.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion on C, please? Moved by, let's give this one to Dave and seconded by Deborah. The resolution C is a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $1.6 million serial bonds and notes of the County of Tompkins, New York, to pay a portion of the cost of road and highway system reconstruction and improvements at various locations throughout the county, ID 9546. Any questions or discussion? All right, let's take a vote. Dave McKenna,
Yes.
Mike Lane,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Deborah Dawson,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All right, resolution D. Who would like to take that and read the title if they want? Go ahead. All right, Mike, go for it.
Resolution D, a bond resolution authorizing the issuance of up to 200,000 serial bonds and notes of the County of Tompkins, New York, to pay a portion of the cost of repairing and/or replacing certain existing bridges located within the county. That's ID 9547, and I move it.
Second by Dave McKenna. All right, thank you. Any questions or discussion? I have one. I'm a little puzzled as to why we're borrowing 200,000. Seems a very small amount.
It's a $1.8 million issue that we do each year for bridge and roads. And every year, Jeff allocates a certain portion to roads and a certain portion for bridges. This year just happened to be 1.6 for roads and 200,000 for bridges.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from committee? All right, let's vote. Deborah Dawson,
Yes.
Shauna Black,
Yes.
Mike Lane,
Yes.
McKenna,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So that one is unanimous as well. All right. Is that everything for you, Rick?
Yeah, and I want to thank Arel for working on the facilities resolution while he was on vacation last week. Thank you, Arel.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much, both of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
John, your hands up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure these resolutions still have to go to F&I, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I think every year we get in the sequence of, this is a little backward just because of the timing with bond.
Timing.
Yeah, okay. I just want to,
Exactly.
that's all I just want to clarify.
This Thursday, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Lisa Holmes, Human Resources, Interim Human Resources Commissioner. Welcome. There you are. Okay. Hi, thank you so much for joining us. I am, first, if you have any general comments or general report, but I also want to, I put on the agenda a report about the surveys you've done for employee childcare needs. We're curious about how what those results are like.
Sure. So I'll limit my comments to those because I know you're on a timetable. This stemmed from in human resources over the last several weeks. We've received a good number of inquiries from employees regarding their childcare needs, particularly our essential employees who don't have the full 12 weeks of expanded FMLA available to them for childcare, as do other employees who are deemed non-essential. So I've heard of a number of pretty difficult situations, anecdotally, very real situations, and had slim to no options available to offer these staff. So reached out to Sue Dale Hall at the Child Development Council, and we put our heads together a little bit. And the first step was really just to determine the scope and extent of the need among our employees. So we just wanted to issue I just issued a rather preliminary and quick survey of the childcare needs of our employees. That was in mid-August. From that, we determined, or we heard from about 48 people who said they had certain extent of childcare need, and probably 20 that said that they had no reliable childcare. From that point forward, and after some more conversations with a colleague at Cornell who administers the dependent care work there for both childcare and elder care, they're seeing very similar needs among their employees, particularly around school age care. And that was true of our workforce. It was not so much the need for preschool, though that was there for a handful of employees. It was around school age care, and particularly, depending on what the schools do, or even if the schools stay open, but there are certain days a week that students are at home and doing their synchronous learning and having to log on, that we have employees who don't have anyone to guide that or to be with them, et cetera. So hence the second survey that was more in-depth and actually followed some of the same questions that Cornell asked of their staff to determine the need for school age care. If so, how many days a week and how many hours and so forth. It was a more targeted survey. We had fewer responses. I've just finished up reviewing those responses over the weekend. And we had, I would say of these, those that responded, 5 or so staff that said, I cannot continue to perform my work for the county unless I find care, and about 5 or so that said that this was an extremely critical need for them. So, this is where we're at with this now. I have been having conversations with some providers in town who have not provided school age care. There just hasn't been the need for it during the daytime hours when school's been available. They are considering opening and making it available. but, I have not done anything further because, I just need to share this more broadly with you and to determine what our next steps can and should be, or what our role is here, and what we want to do as an employer to offer something to our staff who need it.
Wow. Thank you very much. So the second survey, you said 5 can't do their work without some kind of help that they don't have right now. And an additional 5 said that they have an extreme sort of critical need.
They were not everyone, they were some of the same people. Some of them answered yes to both of those, and some of them it was different.
Okay, so it's not exactly 10, but it's somewhere between 5 and 10 individual people. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely convinced that all of our essential staff who may have needed that a lot filled out the survey, given the timing of when the survey was and when we had kind of a big response in terms of positive cases and so forth at the health department. So our need is somewhere, this is, I would say, a conservative estimate of our employee need, but that's just a guess on my part.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. This is really important information. Any discussion or questions from committee members? Or other legislators? I see a couple of other legislators on. So I don't see any. So do I understand these folks can't find care, or they could find care, but they can't afford it, or what?
So I think they can't find it. We didn't ask if they couldn't afford it. And I think that from what I am gathering from my conversations with people, the care isn't available.
Right. We don't usually have to provide childcare for school kids.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, this kind of sparked from the constant, questioning and challenges that we experienced as we've been going through COVID. So as we were talking about this a few weeks ago, it was, well, let's understand what the order of magnitude is. Interestingly, that's what triggered the original survey. And at that same time, I asked my colleagues across the state, is anybody else doing the same thing? And I probably got 6, 7, 8 administrators saying, yeah, we're doing the same thing right now because of the struggle of, this all started as the onset of school became a reality, right? People are starting to realize, well, we've got to work. And so that's what triggered, I just want to give a little background. That's what triggered us to really figure out what our needs were. And then from there, try to understand what options we may or may not be able to do as an employer, or whatever opportunities there may be in the community that we can help facilitate. So that's kind of, just want to give you that background as to how this came about. I don't think we really talked about it much.
The other thing I did want to say too is that some who had daycare providers, like IC3 is offering temporary school-based care, is my understanding, maybe for siblings, up until the date that ICSD is going to open. They extended their start date. So people said, well, my needs are taken care of, but I don't know what I'm going to do after October 5th or whatever that date is. So it's a time-sensitive issue as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the running school-age childcare includes kind of helping them manage their schoolwork. So this is not just you run a daycare program and you have your own program. You're going to have to run school for all of those kids.
Yes. So I don't know if it's too preliminary to say, but I will just tell you in my exploration of this, the why as a provider, as a provider and a nonprofit, they have been shut down. They are planning on opening up, and there are other employers who are inquiring about having, they're offering school age care. So I've just been calling to see what people are doing and what's available. And that's just one provider that I know of that is looking at and licensed to provide this type of care and have the facilities to do so.
Do you have any sense, is Cornell working on a solution? I mean, for us to figure out a whole new childcare system for 10 to 20 kids is not realistic, but if a few employers get together.
Yes, Cornell is covering the same exact bases we are. I was actually, it was affirming to hear that, and looking at the same providers. So they, we were within a day of each other making the same phone calls, and Cornell is looking at the why, last I knew.
Okay, and are the school districts doing anything? I guess they're trying to just run school.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get school open.
Okay. Do you have any great ideas for us?
Or even some not so great ones.
We
Yeah.
have those.
So, it's a balance of finding out this information and not trying to get too far along in doing it. The YMCA, my understanding, if we wanted to approach something in partnership with Cornell or the YMCA is going to be ramping up. They need to go through a process to ramp up and staff up to make this happen. And then once they make it happen, it will be a fee for service. We could look at options for cost options for, what they would need to help ramp up and what the cost would be to employees, if they were available. My understanding was they could start very small. And if we needed more, go from there.
All right. I'm sure we have to think about the gift issue. We're not allowed to give anything. I mean, we could contract with the YMCA, I assume, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this started with me giving very little direction, saying, figure out what our needs are, and then let's see if there's a solution that we can do without being a daycare provider. I mean, that was kind of where we started on the fly, and that's what this has led to. So I think, let's understand what the full need is, what the full capacity and availability is, and if there's a meaningful solution that we can bring, or some options that we can bring forward, we'll definitely want to put them together and bring them to the legislature to have more discussion on it. Childcare was a challenge. Was a challenge prior to, I think, COVID. There was definitely some challenges with it, limitations. It's more so now, and it's just becoming. This was a common issue that has been coming up for the past 8 weeks, 10 weeks.
And it's hugely stressful.
Yeah.
Everything else, this is like a parent's nightmare. So, and every day matters. Anything that we can do. Do you have the names of those people who express the need? I mean, are you able to kind of go one-to-one and work with those folks?
I am, but each time I talk with them, there's not a whole lot I can offer. We have, and most everyone has been grateful for the county's flexibility, work from home or flexible work arrangements, and that will take us only so far. And I've heard a number of, cases of where, it's impossible to work from home and provide the care that's needed, or people whose job won't allow them to work from home. They have to be out in the field, or and our essential workforce. So I can circle back around to them, but I don't have a whole lot more to offer them at this point.
Donna?
Yeah, I think what's hard right now for parents is we're trying to figure out what the school districts are going to do. I mean, most of our kids are home at least for another month, at least through ICSD, and they're doing distance learning. And depending on how old your kid is, you know, my 12-year-old and 15-year-old are doing fine at home learning, but my 8-year-old, there's no way he could learn by himself at home. There are programs like GIAC, which is actually offering like a 9 to 5 day, and they have teachers' assistants in the classrooms. And so they're able to offer our kids instruction, and they're trained professionals that can help them with their schoolwork. I mean, that's really kind of an ideal situation. But I think, you know, I guess time will tell, and we'll know more in a month. But, you know, if ICSD says everyone's back to school, then you know, for the most part, our problem's going to be solved a bit, and we're only going to need after school.
Well, we know somebody at GIAC, right? You know, Sean, are they taking more kids?
I don't think so. I mean, they're limited in how much space they have, and they're only going to be able to have 10 to a classroom. Which, you know, in the past, I think
Sean, turn off your video.
20 or 30
Your sound.
kids in the same area, in the same.
I'm sorry. Say the last part again.
Okay. Yeah, I think they only are able to do 10 classroom size, whereas in last year's program, I think they were up to do like, you know, 20 or 30 kids in that same space.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem everybody's having. Another issue, maybe, I wonder if Soudale Hall, I wonder if encouraging family care, you know, home day care, where you've got, you know, you'll have smaller cohorts of kids, they could get the individualized help with school. Is she working on doing any, like trying to ramp that up? And
she's working on a number of different fronts, of course, and you know, she's working a lot with OCFS in trying to push some of the licensing forward, or the waivers that are needed to make some of this happen. But my understanding is there are issues when you're trying to mix ages of children together. So it's yeah, it's not easy to do necessarily.
all right. Any other comments from committee or other legislators? All right, I think I would just dearly encourage you to keep working on this. And you know, if you need us to do anything, don't hesitate to come. I mean, you know, we know this is how tough this is. And as Sean is pointing out, it's like one kid is hard enough, but lots of people don't just have one kid. And so it gets complex really fast. All right, thanks very much. I really appreciate the report and really appreciate the surveys and looking after employees that way. So also in under Lisa's report, we have in your packet, you've got 2 versions of our direct report questionnaire, the questions. If you remember, we have planned to evaluate Jonathan Wood and Kathy Covert this year in our 360 process. Last year, we had comments from staff about some of the questions. And so Lisa and I went back, and really appreciate Lisa taking the main stab here. So what you see is sort of red line version and the clean version of the questions. There are mostly, maybe looks like more revisions than they really are. Mostly it's a lot of cleaning things up. There's one new question. Let me find it. Please list, this is a Glenn Morey question. Credit to Glenn, he would always ask us, please list anything you believe would help you be more successful in your job. And that's, I think, question 47, for example, on packet page 23 in the red line version. And then some other language that is just made sort of more user-friendly. Lisa, were there any other, that's the main change, am I right?
Yeah, I think as we discussed, there were a couple of questions, the wording of questions that was problematic that just needed cleaning up. So nothing really substantive here in terms of changes.
Right, appreciate staff like making those comments, and we can make those adjustments. So are there any any comments or thoughts from committee members on these? Mike Lane. Mike, if you want to just like call out, go ahead.
Yeah, I should. I'm sorry. To avoid what the problem we had a couple of years ago, are we going to ask all employees to respond? Or a couple of years ago, it was confusing as to whether it was just the ones that the direct report suggested.
Within their department, the people who report to
Right.
that person, right? Lisa, do you want to comment on that?
I don't know what was done in the past. And I don't know what was done last year. Was it to have all of the employees in the department sent the survey, or?
I think we did.
Yeah, that was our intention, and I think it was like only some of the departments, and they're all small
Yeah.
departments. Rick?
I can add to that because I've been through it twice. The first time I went through it, there was a list of a partial list of employees from my department that responded that I supplied. That was the first year. Then 2 years later, they had all the employees in my department respond to the 360 eval.
Thank you, Rick. And I think that's our intention, right, folks?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts on this? So sounds like we should go ahead with these as the questions. I'm not hearing any objections. And I can work with Lisa to organize our timetable. We want to make sure we get it done this year. It's not like I want to add something else to our expanded budget schedule, but we'd like to get it done this calendar year. If that's all right, Lisa, I'll work with you on that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks very much, folks. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate this.
Sure thing.
Okay. We have a couple of other resolutions. We have a lot of minutes. Jason wanted to also take a minute and tell something about the Health Insurance Consortium. Jason, do you want to take care of that? And then if you have to go somewhere else?
Yeah, it'll be quick. So I just had a meeting today with the Healthcare Consortium and TC3's Bill Talbot, their financial person. Some of you may know or may remember that TC3 for the past several years has had some challenges maintaining being current on their accounts payable to the consortium for the health insurance costs. This was starting to get better pre-COVID, although they were still delinquent, generally a 30 or 60-day delinquency. They're 90 days delinquent generally now, and Bill is committed to maintaining a 90-day delinquency, meaning unfortunately he's 90 days late on payments to the consortium, and this has become a continual issue. And I think it's been brought up. It's been brought up ever since I've been here. The consortium can get gigged on its audit for the delinquencies that take place. Now, TC3 to date has continued to pay it. It's just paying it late. So we had a quick conversation with Elin Dowd, Bill Talbot, and myself today to talk about this and what the longer term strategy is. Elin was very clear that the consortium is trying to understand what the solution may be, because they have to address it, and it has to be there has to be something in place. And Bill Talbot was very clear that it's not a good picture for the college right now, and may get better, it may get worse. He just advised also that the state is now either withholding or not providing TAP payments to students in school. So that is going to, and he doesn't even know what the impact of that is. He just got that information the other day. So I just want to make everyone aware of it. Where we fall into this is technically TC3 is in the consortium. They're under our umbrella, our auspice. They're not considered an individual municipality, but they fall under our auspice, which has been a point of discussion with the consortium. They have in the past wanted us to make them whole for TC3's delinquencies and requiring us to pay, to follow up with TC3, which we've resisted. all I did was, I understand the circumstance. I want this committee to see understand the issue. And my comment is we will really probably know a better picture come January, February, March, when the governor delivers his budget and what that may or may not mean for us from an A perspective and what it may mean from TC3's perspective. Nonetheless, this is a side effect of a bad cash flow position, which is a side effect of a structural budget problem that TC3 is dealing with which has just been compounded by the pandemic. No action was taken, no promises were made, obviously, other than awareness of the issue. And that my comment to Elin was that we're aware of it. Obviously, Rick's aware of it, and we're going to continue to observe and see. Probably in the next 3 to 6 months, maybe have to come up with a better solution to this with the consortium, but I don't know what that quite is yet. So I don't know, Rick, do you want to add more to it?
Yeah, one thing I would suggest, I would not see this year being any different than the last two. When we get close to adopting the TC3's budget and our own budget, we bring forth a resolution to the legislator to adopt 4 payments for the next year. In the last 2 years, we've actually paid them the first half of their year, or their first 2 annual installments, in November or December of the preceding year, which would be this year. And I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm saying if that's an option that might help them, that's about $1.5 million, and that's about what they owe the consortium. And that's how they got over the crisis last year at this time. So, that's just a suggestion for you to ponder if you want to bring that resolution forward to the legislature a little bit early, so that the first 2 payments that we would make for them would be a prepayment on our books for this year. And that resolution, we should probably start working on it now. I think that's something that comes out of admin, Jason.
Yeah.
That shows the 4 equal. Now, I know you can't really do it until you know the exact amount that we're going to be paying TC3 and the exact amount that's in our budget for TC3, et cetera, et cetera. But that's one of the ways that I see us helping them out between now and fiscal year end.
Yeah, we talked briefly about that, Rick. And essentially what that does is advances them money for next year, this year. It does not, that it doesn't solve their problem. It helps temporarily with cash flow issues. So it's something that Bill mentioned, and like I said, I just had that meeting maybe an hour or 2 ago, and we'll be in touch more. But I just wanted the committee to be aware of it, because the issue is not going to go away right away, and it may get exacerbated depending on what the state does with community college budgets.
Martha?
Yeah, Mike.
Is that $1.5 million, Rick, is that 2 payments, or is that just 1 quarter?
There are 3 payments behind right now, and that's about $1.5 million.
So that's $500,000 each quarter then.
Yeah, I think it's $480,000, but they have 5 different subgroups for TC3, farming group and the culinary group and the blah, blah, retiree group. Their biggest one, of course, is the regular TC3 bill. And so I know when you encompass all 5 groups together, it's about $500,000 per month.
Per month or per quarter?
Per month, $500,000, 500,000 per month. So that would 3 months would be 1.5 million.
He said they were about 1.6 million in the right now.
All right,
So
thank you.
All right. Any other committee questions? Does Cortland County have any part of this? Because that's part of their operations, or?
I think, and I was going to circle back with Bill this week or next week. My guess is that he did say he's going to go to the Cortland County and say the same thing. So when I circle back with him this week or next week, if what Rick just explained, if that's something that we think is a good solution, we'll bring it forward for you to consider. And I would imagine he would do. There's no reason why he wouldn't do the same for Cortland. Now I don't know where Cortland is in their cash flow problem, but it's nowhere near the amount that we're talking about. But I know they did it last year as well as we did, so they might do the same.
All right. Let's try to come up with the immediate solution, and then maybe there's a long-term way to carve back a little at a time so that eventually they can catch up.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think you have to wait. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to see what the budget is for next year. Like I said, I think that the governor's gonna have some sweeping changes. It may negatively impact community colleges. I don't know, but I think we keep an eye on it. If it maintains status quo until the winter, till the budget comes out from the state, then I think you're going to get a better lay of the land of what the longer term challenges will be. Either that, or they may get some relief, but I can't see that happening.
Okay. Okay. Anything else from anybody on that? All right. Thanks very much. Keep us posted, of course. All right. Let us go to the resolutions then. Somebody want to take A? Go ahead, Deborah. You're the only. You're not muted. I'm going to take resolution A.
Oh, lucky me. Okay, resolution A, appropriation from contingent fund, replacement pay reimbursement, sheriff's office ID number 9473, and I move that.
Thank you. Seconded by Dave McKenna. Discussion? All right, let's vote. I've got Mike Lane,
Yes.
Dave McKenna,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Shawna,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. That's unanimous. Okay. Dave, you want to take the next one?
Okay, resolution B. Appropriation from contingent fund. Computer equipment purchase, Department of Weights and Measures, ID 9493, and I move it.
All right, seconded by Mike Lane. Discussion? Kathy?
I just want to note that that's with the corrected dollar amount in the resolution. It's
My
a
hard
little-
copy. Yeah, my hard copy says 3257 and
Yes, it's different from what the F&I committee approved. There's some new quotes that came in, so.
okay, got it, everybody. All right. Let's vote. Then, Shawna,
Yes.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Deborah.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that's unanimous. We've done C and D. E is off. Let us go to F. Mike Lane, you got it?
Scheduling a public hearing on the 2021 Tompkins County Budget and the 2021-2025 Tompkins County Capital Program, ID 9545, and I move it.
Thank you. Seconded by Dave McKenna. Questions or discussion? Kathy?
Just want to note that the time in the resolution is 5:30. Sometimes we have the hearings at 7, so I just wanted to highlight that time.
Yeah, and I had a question about that. That is not a legislature night, right?
Correct.
Right. How do folks feel about that? I mean, was there a particular reason 5:30 was chosen?
No, it's just the typical time the legislature meets, so.
Sure, but I personally kind of think it's hard for the public, even if they don't have to commute anywhere to open us on the Zoom. But what do other folks think? I mean, typically we usually do it at 7. Is there any preference?
We usually do 7. I agree.
Anybody else? Would y'all like to amend this to make it 7? I would support that.
Friendly to me.
Me too.
Okay, great. All right, let's do that 7. So Kathy, there's no detriment to it. There was nothing specific about this at 5.
No.
All right. So we'll make that is friendly to make it 7 o'clock. All right. Anything else on this? Let us vote. Sean, are you at the table now?
I am. I'm here to pick up my papers for tonight.
Okay. All right.
I vote yes.
All right. Mike,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
I am a yes too. Thank you very much. All right. Now we got a pile of minutes. And we want to move them all. Got everything from June 30th to September 1st. Mike moves them all. Go ahead, somebody be brave. Shauna moves, seconds them all. Are there any, is there any discussion or corrections? All right, we're gonna vote. I'll go Dave,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Shauna,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so those are all unanimous. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Jason, do you have anything else you want to toss at us?
No, other than tomorrow, I'll be doing a presentation for NISAC on the budget at 2 o'clock. I think it's part of their NISAC conference, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but we're supposed to have it done over the weekend, but we'll simplify and get it out to Dave Lucas. So I'll be doing that tomorrow at 2.
Yeah, I saw that. And your name wasn't on it, but you mentioned that you were doing a webinar on budgeting.
Yeah.
I signed up for it. And so I'm looking forward to, I don't know if it's going to be what we're going to hear tonight, but.
It's going to be probably very similar to what you hear tonight, but just with,
Okay.
with the NISAC template. So
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really a strong vote of confidence that they've asked you to do that. So,
yeah, it'll be good.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Deborah, seconded by Dave. Raise your hands if you're in favor. Thank you. That's unanimous, and we'll see you in what, 25 minutes. All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Kathy and everybody. Take care.